Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 20-minute Mode podcast by Volube.io. Here we talk with senior thought leaders and practitioners in the space of customer support to understand how customer support is evolving and how is tech enabling them to build delightful support experiences.
And today I have someone really special with me. His name is Mr. Deepu KV, and he's a very senior operational customer service, whatever name you want to give that field. He's that. He's done all the roles. He's done everything in terms of customer support that anybody would want to know. And he's been super kind enough to come on our podcast today. And I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to you, sir. And if you can, could you please explain a bit about yourself to our audience?
Firstly, thank you for for the very warm introduction and your kind words, Siddharth. It's a pleasure interacting with you as well. Hello, everyone. My name is Deepu, and as Siddharth mentioned, I drive digital transformation and industry leadership in my role as the president and head of operations and customer experience at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company is ranked number 8 amongst the global top 100 digital insurers, and I've been with the company for more than 5 years now. Prior to joining Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, I was with G Capital for nearly 2 decades. So looking forward, to an engaging conversation.
All right, sir. And, insurance with the unfortunate onset of the pandemic, insurance has been like a big talked about, industry and, how everything is being enabled through insurance and what should insurance do. I know it's a very common question that you would have been asked, but if you could also share your insights as to how the industry has evolved in the past year, and what are your biggest challenges that you've been trying to solve in the customer support space?
So Siddharth, when the pandemic first hit us, 18 months ago, at that time, sales had ground to a halt, right? Especially when you had that 3-week lockdown. And, insurance is a derived product, right? When you sell cars, you sell motor insurance. And similarly, when you travel, you buy travel insurance. So at that time, I guess everybody was focused on the pandemic, and then, business was, on the back burner. But as, we emerged, into the new normal, right? And the new normal, has been morphing into various forms of all sizes and shapes, during the last few months. Business came back on track. And then, during wave 2 again, I think, we had to take a step backward. But I think now, I think we are looking firmly ahead. And I think as a firm, we've managed to sustain well, through the entire, last 18-month period. That's from an overall perspective. Now, coming to customer experience, I think the good thing is, while we could not predict COVID-19, but we'd invested in our digital journey, much in advance. And COVID-19 just happened to be a global, unplanned UAT, as one of my friends colorfully put it. And I think we passed the test with flying colors. At that time, we embarked on a massive communication blitzkrieg, and we told our customers not to worry about the shutdown of the call center. We told them that they could avail of all the digital assets that we had created over the years, whether it was WhatsApp, whether it was our customer portal, our AI-driven chatbot, our mobile app, so on and so forth. And the good thing is, at that time, virtually overnight, we were able to ramp up servicing via our digital assets to nearly 80% of our total servicing portfolio. And at that time, internally, when we were also monitoring customer grievance ratios, we saw that our customer grievance ratios had dipped by a whopping 90%, which I guess, was proof of the pudding. As I said, the proof of the pudding lies in the eating, which I guess was proof of the fact that, we had built seamless, frictionless, digital assets for our customers. And we've been able to sustain that, during the last 18 months. In fact, we have won a host of awards, not just in India and in the Asia Pacific context, but even globally as well. And from a regulator's perspective, we are the player with the lowest grievances, and independent assessment by a market research agency shows that we enjoy the highest NPS in the market.
Wow. And sir, if I may, when you talk about NPS and you talk about CSAT, right? And you talk about how you have the highest redressable share, percentage in the market, and why you are the why you're one of the largest players, right? This comes down to the fact that your customer support is working like a well-oiled machine. It's working day in and day out like the way it is supposed to be. So it is, if you were kind enough to talk about how is the customer support in your organization like, and what is the team structure and how is it built? What is the entire organization structure for the customer support?
Yeah. So the first point, Siddharth, your question is, while we may be digitally savvy and while we may have been recognized, I think at the root of all of this, is our philosophy. In fact, our logo is caringly yours, and we put in, all efforts to ensure that this culture permeates every single part of the organization, right? So that we're able to demonstrate care to our, customers at every step. Now, in terms of our structure, essentially, while I manage the overall landscape in terms of, operations and customer service for the organization, in my team, I have, a customer service vertical where, I have a person who heads that. And then, under him, we have, for example, one person who heads the contact center. Then we have one person who handles, the non-contact center, grievances. We have one person, who basically drives what we call, of course, NPS, and the other is, a segmented servicing approach, whereby we look at some unique initiatives, for some, customer categories. And then we have one person, who looks at the overall qualitative aspect of the entire landscape. And then below them, we have the teams, the call center teams, the various teams, which manage our customer-facing assets. And we also have teams, which manage our middleware, and our core platform. Because what customers see, are the assets which they interact with. But then, at the end of the day, it's like a swan, right? The swan looks very graceful above the water, but below the water, it's paddling away furiously, right? So we have teams, which manage, the entire, landscape, behind the scenes. So that's how, we are broadly structured. And across the entire enterprise, we drive this attitude of caringly yours.
Wow. I think this is, that word caringly yours is so ingrained in my head. Right? I mean, whenever somebody says the word care, right, I automatically start thinking of Bajaj Allianz. Like it is,
Thank you.
It is that. And you talked about these metrics, right? You talked about the NPS CSAT. So what is it? I mean, now let's get a little deep into this metrics. Like, how do you measure effectiveness when it comes to customer support, and what metrics do you track internally?
I think for us, like I mentioned earlier, the proof of the pudding lies in the eating. Ultimately, it's about, what our customers tell us. Now, as a large and established player, right, as I said, we are ranked number 8 amongst the global top 100 digital insurers, and we've been in business for 20 years, right? And we have a huge customer base, we have a huge partner base. So just by virtue of being, a large player in the business, we also come across, customer feedback on a daily basis, wherein customers reach out to us. Now, we do not want to limit ourselves only to reactive feedback. We also want to take proactive feedback. So therefore, we also use tools such as NPS. And then an NPS happens in 2 parts. One is what we call transaction NPS, which is we take customer feedback after every transaction that they have with us. And then we have this relationship NPS, which is done through an independent third-party market research firm. And apart from that, we also conduct focus group discussions, to get customer feedback on various aspects from time to time. So the way we measure ourselves is, based on all this feedback, and we have our own internal benchmarks. And we obviously, have fairly high benchmarks for us internally. Otherwise, we wouldn't be enjoying, the highest NPS in the marketplace or the lowest grievances, as per the regulator. And we have been doing this consistently for years now. So we have our, benchmarks in terms of where we want to be, across various customer-facing, assets. So we track ourselves on those benchmarks. The other aspect which we pride on, Siddharth, is we also want to ensure that, we are industry first, in terms of coming out with unique initiatives for customers. So, for example, if you look at the claim process, that's the moment of truth in insurance. So whether it was travel, wherein we launched a blockchain-based, travel claim settlement solution nearly 4 years ago, or whether it is motor, which is the largest line of business, whereby we crunch the entire claim settlement process from days to minutes. I think we also measure ourselves in terms of, how we are, continuously raising the bar, by coming out with, unique customer-centric initiatives from time to time. And what we also do is, for us, success lies in what our customers tell us. It's not about what we think about our initiatives, it's what customers tell us. So for every initiative, we have, as I said, internal SLAs and benchmarks of what customers tell us, and we track ourselves on those metrics.
Got it. And when it comes to customer support and experience, what platforms do you currently operate in?
So we use, a wide variety of, platforms. So for example, we have a core platform, which we migrated to, and we are in the process of migrating some other lines of business. And then, we have, a middleware, which is our, customer relationship management software, which is our CRM platform, which connects our core to our customer facing assets. And then when it comes to our customer facing assets, we have contact centers where we work with partners and they use their own platforms. And then of course we have WhatsApp where customers can reach out to us. We have a AI-driven bot, which whereby we have a partnership, with a with an entity in India. And then we also have our own website, customer portal, so on and so forth. So we use variety of platforms, and for us it's a mix of make and buy. We have our own in-house teams which develop a lot of these platforms, and we also have platforms where we have entered into partnerships for point solutions with various players in the marketplace.
Got it. And when we talk about support and we talk about the metrics, right? And you have someone who has seen the industry, not only, I mean, at Bajaj Allianz, but entire industry grow as well, right? How how have your support teams grown and evolved in the last few years?
So there are multiple ways of looking at it. One is of course as I said, when we look at customer feedback which comes our way, we ensure that we staff our teams adequately for those servicing areas. Now there are two ways to look at it. One is BAU, which is business as usual. Like I mentioned, we are a large player, and when it comes to servicing, there is no compromise. So we need to ensure that we have the right quantity and the right quality of people, and that we do through a stringent hiring process, through a strong training process, and by ensuring that they are continuously focused on this aspect. So that's clearly one area. How teams have grown internally, then we also look at how over the years teams have grown. Let's say somebody who's joined as a front-end associate, how has he grown into a leadership role. We also look at people who have moved on to bigger roles within the organization. So that's at an individual level, how do we look at that? The third is we also look at our own employee feedback in terms of what is the value addition that they've had from the organization. So for example, when the pandemic happened, we were able to leverage the save on commuting time, right? Especially in cities like Delhi and Mumbai, when people travel, anything from 1 to 2 hours one way, we were able to, leverage that time by coming out with, digital learning and development programs, right? And we focused not only on the job training, but we also focused on individual, personal leadership development programs. So we have got, strong feedback on a very positive note, from our team members. And apart from that, I think it's our connect. So what happened when the pandemic happened, people were working from home because we had a socially and physically distanced workforce, but we had to keep them, emotionally and digitally connected, because you're talking about a call center person who is at the receiving end day in and day out. How do we keep them motivated? How do they demonstrate caringly yours, through the entire month and through the entire period? So we came out of the homegrown, employee engagement program called Celebrating You. And we converted, adversity into opportunity, because we said now that they're working at home, we can also involve families. So for example, we came out of the weekend master chef. So, anybody's family member could contribute. And then, we had, tons of, recipes and, photographs flowing in on a WhatsApp group. And then we did a digital Antakshari program. Then we did, digital painting competition. On Mother's Day, we had a concert by mothers, for mothers, comprising mothers. So when we finally took employee engagement scores during the pandemic, they turned out to be higher than our scores, pre-pandemic.
Wow. And
so I think a combination of, connect and investment in training and all the other processes that I mentioned, I think, these are, a testament to the way, we have gone about building a team.
I think one of the things when people talk about digital transformation, right, they miss this part about agent, right? Because everyone is like, okay, how can I get things done more digitally? How can I get the processes more? But at the same time, I mean, customer support is also ensuring that your agents are enough motivated and they have that, they carry your philosophy forward to the end customer, right? And this is fantastic to hear. I mean, a brand putting in so much effort to make sure that their customer support agents are able to support their customers, right? I mean, it's brilliant. And,
thank you.
And sir, a lot of times, right, what used to work 10 years before doesn't work now, right? Now, in terms of customers, right? And I mean, Bajaj Allianz is dedicated towards building a delightful customer support experience, right? Your thoughts on what used to work and what works today?
So I think, when you look at, corporate history, it's going to get reset as, pre-COVID and post-COVID. So I think, pre-COVID, you had a lot of focus on touch and feel. And I think, the moment, everybody was forced to work in a digital manner, not just work in a digital manner, but even live in a digital manner. I think, the entire focus shifted from physical highways to digital highways. So clearly, we have seen that in the last 18 months. And I think everybody has focused on that. But I think now, as we have spent 18 months and being digital is today no longer an advantage, but a necessity. So now what are the, focus areas going forward? One, I think clearly is multilingual, because we need to understand that in the Indian context, a lot of digital assets are offered in English, whereas it becomes truly important to ensure that, you're able to talk to the customer, in the language that he knows. So therefore, I think, multilingual focus is really required to amplify your reach. The second aspect is, while we have been able to digitize the physical, I think now the accent has shifted to humanizing the digital. How do you ensure that you have the best of both man and machine? Because when customers call you, they call you during their tough times. They need empathy and they need a healing touch. So how do you give the consistency and efficiency of bots, yet have this focus on empathy and healing touch? I think, these are two clear focus areas. The third is, since COVID-19 has made all of us very wary of touch, I think from a UI UX perspective, how can we, leverage, touchless, experiences? So I think touchless, multilingual, and humanizing the digital. I think these are three clear focus areas now, since, the last 18 months are now, behind us.
All right. And now let me get into digital transformation. I mean, you have driven a lot of projects, and is there a way to reimagine the way customer support has evolved over the years? And, while we've talked about this, but do you truly believe the pandemic was a turning point when it came to, organization innovating when it comes to engaging with their customers?
So there are two aspects to your question. One, of course, the pandemic was a turning point because it ensured that, universally, everybody adapted to a new way of doing things. Now, coming to reimagining customer experience, you see, that's an evergreen process. I mean, it's always there, right? Because the pandemic is not the last black swan event that we have seen, right? I mean, you could see some more unpredictable events like these, during your lifetime. So when it comes to customer experience and how do we reimagine that, we typically follow a 5-step process, which I think, will help everyone in this quest for digital transformation. I think step number one is to basically listen to your customers. This is normally missed because people normally want to just latch on to the latest buzzword in town and then go about launching solutions. Step number two, having done step number one, is to then classify the customer feedback that you have received into stated needs and unstated needs. All of us are good at, typically meeting stated needs, but it's very important to understand, what are the unstated needs of customers. Step number three is then to take stock of, your current landscape. And typically you'll find that all your processes and systems have been set up, not keeping the customer at the center of things. For example, very few organizations even universally have a one-stop shop, right? If you go to a bank, they would say, for fixed deposits, go here. For library, for let's say, savings accounts, go to the other department, right? Similarly, if you go to an insurance company, you would go to one department for motor, you would go to another department for health. Very few organizations, will have a one-stop shop. So which is where, if you can bring in true customer focus, then I come to step number 4, which is to re-engineer and reimagine your landscape. And then if you can do that and move from, let's say, a department focus to a customer focus, then you've got the landscape ready. And then you come to step number 5, which is typically the step number 1 for most firms, which is that you then launch your digital solution. And every time you don't have to necessarily, latch on to, blockchain or AI or ML. Sometimes, the best solution is the simplest solution, right? Ultimately, you have to solve for a need, right? The solution has to meet a need. It's not that you launch a solution and then you go about figuring out a need for that solution, right? So I think if you follow this 5-step process, you see everything comes in. Digital transformation comes in, reimagining, the entire customer landscape comes in, and then you find that you are successful far more often than not.
All right. Also, you have seen automation, conversational AI also grow in the industry, right? And I wanted to get your thoughts, right? How have AI, and conversational AI in particular with automation has helped enhance the quality of customer support, in your opinion?
In a phenomenal way, Siddharth. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, if you look at our motor claims process, which I told you about, earlier, if you crashed your car, you would have to call up the insurance company. They would have to send an inspector, to the site, and then he will inspect the car, submit his report, and the entire process kicks in. Now, all you have to do, for our customers up to certain amounts is just 2 steps. You click photographs and you upload them using the mobile app. Our AI engine will go through the images and in a matter of minutes, get back to you with the claim assessed amount. And once you give your consent, the money is transferred. So what used to take days now takes 20 minutes. So clearly AI has helped us, revolutionize, customer impact and take it to an altogether different level. The other is if you look at our bot, like everybody uses bots, but how did we differentiate ourselves? So our bot is, AI driven, and what our bot does, in case it's not able to answer a customer query, it gets seamlessly transferred to a human being. So for the customer, there's no break in service. He gets to experience, a seamless transition from the bot to a human being. we didn't want the customer to, hang up and then, or terminate the chat and, again, call up the call center or go to the website or reach out to us via email. We said, let the human being carry it through end to end. And then by using AI and NLP, we teach the bot, the areas which it could not address, previously. So the bot is learning all the time, and its own query or first time query, first time resolution is increasing all the time. And that's how, we've been able to leverage AI, to give the best of man and machine, to our customers. So I think AI, has clearly helped us, revolutionize, the entire, landscape. And the users of AI in insurance, are far too many. It call for an altogether different conversation. There are plenty of use cases.
And I mean, while you talked about the motor insurance being 20 days, right? I've been on that end. I mean, I've been on that life cycle where I've crashed my father's car and I've had to wait for it. Actually, the way you described it was actually very clear, right? It came and, it does it. And then it takes 20-25 days and then you have to talk. And, yeah. And now that it is doing it in minutes, it is superb, right?
Thank you.
And what is that one tech in customer support that you would want today? Like if you were to close your eyes and think that, okay, hey, I need this technology today, what would be that one technology?
I think it's a bit difficult to, put your finger on any one technology because, you see the whole arena of customer experience is, so complex that, you can't pick any one technology and expect it, to be, universally, applicable. But if you look at, what we have done and what we, are leveraging currently, you'll get an idea in terms of, what the landscape looks like. So as I mentioned, we leverage, blockchain, to give, an instant, claim settlement to customers in the area of international travel. Similarly, we had leveraged, AI and machine vision, for motor claims. AI, of course, we have used, I mentioned to you, even in our, chats. And then we also had leveraged IoT, to come out with, specific, products for customers. So these are the technologies, we have used, in the past, in terms of, coming out with specific products and, services for customers. Now, right now, if you see going forward, what is happening is you need to get your hands around data because the customer footprint is increasingly digital. Now, we, of course, moved to the cloud, and then we've been able to move from siloed data marts to a data lake. But if you look at data in India, it's complex in many ways. One is it comes in several languages. The other is, the forms of data are different. You can have handwritten forms of data. You can have printed forms. You can have hard copies. You can have soft copies. You can have text. You can have voice. You can have video. So how do you ingest all of that, and then make sense, and then, you're able to get back to the customer, immediately, right? So if you look at it that way, yeah, I think the one thing which anybody would want is, a tool, which can immediately ingest all these various forms of data and come out with an immediate output. And let me give you one example of what you've already done there. Let's say today, one of our customers clicks on Google Maps and he wants to go to a branch. So we have a bot which pops up, and then the bot asks the customer, saying that, is there a way I can help service you digitally? And if the customer is able to get service digitally, then the need to go to the branch is obviated, So that way, if you can leverage data, in its myriad forms, and then we're able to give instantaneous solutions, I think we can really revolutionize and take customer service to the next level.
Definitely, sir. And my last question, right? While I would want you to answer so many questions about customer support and customer experience, my last question is: how do you think bots and automation will, evolve in the next coming 2-3 years?
No, I think it's an interesting question. I think, as I mentioned to you, I think humanizing the digital, I think, is clearly one focus area. Already, I think there is a lot of focus in terms of getting bots to mimic human beings, because then you get the best of both, right? You get, bots to give you the consistency, because they don't have mood swings, they don't attrite, they can work 24/7, right? At the same time, how can they give customers, a human-like experience? So I think, clearly, that's one area where we see, where we see it evolving. The other is, I think, there's already, movement happening in terms of the linguistic aspect that I spoke about, right? In terms of how do we get, bots and automation going, from a multilingual perspective, in the Indian context. And I think that'll really be, the next frontier, from an Indian perspective. So I think, these are two areas, where I see focus going, in the next, 2 to 3 years. The third aspect is, as we do automation and bots, it's not necessarily always going to be a one-way journey. Somewhere along the way, you could also find a born again focus on human skills. So I'll give you an example. we have launched a unique initiative called Virtual Relationship Manager at Hospital in Health Insurance. So when customers get hospitalized, they have two worries. One is, of course, moving from illness to wellness, and the other is, they are sometimes wary of navigating the complex administrative machinery in hospitals. So we have an RM, and what the RM does is, it's a real RM, but present virtually. He's not present in the hospital physically. He gives these customers loads of empathy, and he tells them, saying, you don't have to worry about the processing. I'll take care of it, and you just focus on recovery. And obviously, customers have are hugely relieved. And then using his device, he gives them digital processing. And we got an NPS done on this, because we offered this in a as a pilot, to some select hospitals, and we got a score of 90 without a single detractor. So that just tells you that if you use the right combination of man and machine, you can do wonders. So I think the multilingual aspect that I spoke about, humanizing the digital, and then this combination of man and machine. I think these three areas are what you will see in the area of automation and bots over the next few years.
I think the last line was super powerful about how the man and machine and humanizing the digital experience and multilingual, they will play a role. Thank you so much, Deepu sir, for coming on and talking to me. It's a huge learning experience for the team at Whirlloop, and for me as well. Thank you so much. And with this, we'll end the podcast, sir.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. And it was a learning experience, for me as well. Good questions. You really made me think. Yeah. So thank you. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for listening in to our episode today. We'll be back with another interesting, thoughtful, and insightful episode shortly. In the meanwhile, you could check out our previous episodes on whirlloop.io/podcasts. If you're looking to build delightful support experiences, do reach out to us on hello@whirlloop.io. Till next time, this is Sid from whirlloop.io signing off.